we are going to start with client administration. So this is also one of the important topics when as a basis administrator, which you should know the clear understanding of what is client. I mean, how do you do a client copy? There are various types of client copies. And then what are the tools we use to do the client copy? And what is the necessity to do the client copy? Okay. This is again a lengthy topic, but I will try to simplify in such a way where you can or you will be able to execute this task without any let me share again, sorry. Okay, without any without any problem, or you will be comfortable to do execute this thing. Okay, so what we do, agenda is define a client from SAP perspective. I mean, we just say, I mean, customer and the client just get out of that impression of you are providing support to your client project or a customer project. That client is different than, I mean, there's a little bit irrelevant, but here in SAP's terminology, client definition and the whole concept is little different. Technical definitions are different, and then we will interpret the client roles. So if we go on SSC4, I don't know if you have worked on it, we see different client roles. I mean, what are those client roles that we will discuss, and we will talk about the client copies. So what are the client copy options we have, and then what are the system change options? Okay, how do you do a system change option so that the developers will allow? So system change options in the system, we also see them. Okay, these are the 4 important topics we talk, and we also do a client copy, local client copy from one client to the another client in the training system, in EH8 system. Okay, that is important. Okay, so theory is fine, but practically also we do one client copy. If we do one local client copy, then you will understand way to check the logs and how this the codes behave. Okay, so let's start with the clients in an SAP system. So a client, for example, which client you have logged into the system in EH8 system, it is the 800 client. So you also see a 000 client. Okay, so 000 is the admin client, we say, and so far you got to know only 2 clients, which is the 800 is the one particular client where you have logged in. So the client in commercial and organization terms can be defined entirely distinctly in terms of businesses. Okay, a corporate group or within a company. So if you see this above example, okay, client 100, it is for XYZ Cement. Okay, TCS is an organization. Take an example of TCS. Client 100, TCS has an ERP system. Okay, so client 100 is being used by the TCS. XYZ is nothing but TCS. So in this case, steel. Okay, so all the relevant for the steel related company or the material management, procurement, or everything happens, or those data records, everything happens in the client 100. Okay, so and then you have a client 200 or 300. So I mean, you just define these different one, 200 or 300. So then another client, so TCS has an automobile. So automobile, as I said, it has a different set of requests or the business functions or a different set of customizations. Okay, so I mean, like line management, there also, I mean, engine testing. Those are all the different set of activities altogether, and the table structure, all thing is different. So then you define a 200 client for the TCS automobile. So then you have a client 300 or 400, another client. So again TCS. So TCS has another industry like what do you call IT? Okay, what you guys working? And then there is another client, then TCS, and in that client you have a hotel management, TCS, Tata Hotels. Okay, so another client, Tata FMCG. I mean, Tata retail stores or the FMCG products like cosmetics. If Tata is producing something, so that will come, or some retail. Some other client, 800 is some other client. So Tata's retail or grocery, like Tata Tea. So those also Tata is there. So everywhere Tata is there. So for him, it is important. One ERP system or a very heavy ERP system. I mean, where he can define 10 to 15 clients. Each client is serving the purpose of a different industry or a different this thing. Okay. So in technical terms, so a client is a set of records within the database of the SAP system, which stores the data specific to the client and can only be retrieved by logging into that specific client. And the client handling is taken care by the SAP application. Okay, what does it mean? So a client is nothing but it is, as I said, it's a set of, in a normal terms, it is an organizational unit. Okay, automobile or whatever it is. But in terms of the database, what it is, or SAP terms, okay, so it stores the data under that particular client in the database. Okay, if it is 100 client, all the data relevant for that 100 client will be written in the database. 200 defined in there. So all the client specific data, okay, client specific data means steel, automobile we are talking, and then IT. So only the users who are created in that particular client will be able to log in. Okay, so which is the client dependent or the client specific data. Suppose the users who have access to this 100 client, where the Tata Steel, okay, and then 200 client, Tata's automobile. So the users in the 100 client cannot access the data defined in the 200 client. That is how it is restricted. So this whole separation or writing to the database is taken care by the application server. Okay, so now there are three important terms here. So I would request you to pay attention. So one is the application data. So you see in the screen, let me put my cursor here, application data, or let me open in, here we have. Okay, so here you see, we have this application data and the client dependent customizing and user data. Number one, I said user data. The Tata Steel and automobile, the users in that particular client only be able to log into that client and do their respective tasks based on the authorizations given to them. That's it. So the user data is a client specific data. Okay, client specific. So for example, with your TCS user one, you try to log into the 000, it doesn't work because your users are created in 800 client and it's a training client. Its purpose is a training, and then we have given you the authorizations, needed authorizations over there. Suppose if you try to log into 000, it doesn't allow because it's a client specific user data example. And then you have the application data. When I say application data, automobile, and then hotel management and this IT, they all have a different kind of applications and the function modules it uses or the business functions it uses. So the application data also specific to the client. Okay, for that client. For now, you try to understand these terms. Then I will explain you what is a cross client and all. Slowly I will take you to the deep level. Don't worry. So for now, you try to understand, and then client dependent customizing. For example, Tata Steel could have done in 100 clients some customizations, and IT guys you could have done in 800 client customizations. So whatever the customizations you do in that particular client or in that particular client only. Okay, they are not client specific, client dependent. So you have defined or created certain things dependent for the client dependent customizing only. Okay, so but there is an option to do cross client customizing also. We will discuss it. Slowly I will introduce you that. But for now, you understand any client. Okay, each client will contain user data respective to that particular client and application data for that particular client and client dependent customizing, which is dedicatedly for that client. And if you define a data, if you find any of these three things, which will be only accessible from the particular client only. Okay, they are all client specific. Okay, so now let's go to the next slide. Good. So technical implementation of the clients. So technically, the data of a client is stored in client dependent tables. Okay, which has the field MANDT as the primary key field that stores the client numbers as shown in the table. Okay, so what does it mean? So database. So database is common for all the clients or all the application servers. See, we have a 3-tier architecture. So presentation layer, application layer can have 6 to 7 applications, or it depends on the client's customers load. Okay, and then you have a database. So database is common for everybody. I mean, at the end of the day, all the requests, all the application logic has to go and write it to the database. So how does database separates these things? Okay, which client data is for what? Okay, so there is a field. If you open certain tables, I mean SC16, and if you open the table, so there you can see the yesterday TST03 we have seen, right? Let's see if we can do that. So each table will have a MEA entity field, okay, in the database. So that is very important. So that is how your database understands that this data belongs to SC16. So let's see that. So TST03. Let's open this pool table. Okay, so let's execute it. Okay, you see client, so 800. So in an application level, you may look at it as 800 or it is, but if you look at the database level, it has a field called MEA entity. Okay, mandate. It's a primary key. So each one, all this data, written into that particular client. Okay, so whenever your application server want to fetch the data for this particular 800 client, irrespective of the table display over here, it will go and look for the field MEA entity in the database. Okay, so, or if it wants to write from, so 800 client, whatever you do, right? I mean, whatever you are like, you ran some background job or school or whatever it is, application server will write on the database with the field which has the MEA entity. That's it. So all the data, whichever happens in any respective client, it will be in that particular client. So that is how your database segregates the data or separates the data from each client to each client, and only the authorized people. And from a 200 client, if you run a job and when you try to fetch the data from 100, no, it won't. It will tell you clearly that stating, it will go and look for the data in the database. It will tell clearly, hey, this is not authorized because it's a client dependent customizing and you're not supposed to do. Simple. It will give an authorization error, or it will tell you this data belongs to so and so client. You please go and execute over there. Okay, so that is how your database separates the data or segregates the data on the database level. Okay, so hope this simple concepts like what is client and how your database segregates this data is you understood, right? Okay. So the tables without MEA entity or the client independent tables. I mean, yes. So two things. Whatever, for example, client dependent tables. Okay, like application data, user master data, client dependent customizing. Okay, these are all the client dependent. So there is an MEA entity field, and it writes. So what about the tables, which are applicable for the entire system? Okay, so which are like 000, you have to, it should be accessible. 100, should be accessible. 200, it should be accessible. 300, it should be accessible. So what are those tables? Example, monitoring related tables, right? Basis component, standards tables, standard structures or functional modules, right? Like transactions you are executing, ST22, ST03, right? We are executing some transactions. So at the, from where they're coming from, the database only, right? So those are the standard tables. I mean, standard structures and the standard functionalities are defined without a mandate field. There is no mandate field, which means those tables or those transactions can be executed from any client. Okay, clear? So now you got the glimpse of what is the MEA entity field and where does it stores in the database. And another thing is there is a flavor of client independent, which means entire system, those things should be accessible. For example, these transaction codes or the monitoring templates. So are the some function modules, they all has to be available from all the clients, standard functionalities. Okay, those tables are defined in the database without the MEA entity field because it has to be accessible from the anywhere. Okay, good. So So T000, I will come to that point. T000, what is this table? So, I mean, since we are in SC16, you can get a glimpse of this one. So let's go back. So what is this T000 table? Anyone knows? It is important, but you don't do anything over here, but let me execute it. Okay, let's do. Okay. So T000 is nothing but, so it has all the tables, I mean, all the client related information. So whatever you see in SCC4C, you see the MEA entity field. So here, 000, 00, oh, sorry, back. I will just double click it. It's okay. So in this system, you have these many clients. Okay. So 00, 001, 008, which I just created yesterday, it's a dummy client. So don't worry, we will delete it today. And then early watch, 066 is early watch client. And then you have IRIS related clients, a financial related this one, ALE related this one, and then logistics related 820. So these many clients are available. So in T000, SCC4 data, basically client details, what all clients exist in the system. If somebody asks you which table will contain you, they will ask you in certifications, which table will contain the client information in that particular system, which is T000, which is very simple to remember also, T30. Okay. So it contains all the clients, what all exist in the system, because you have got the 800 access only. Now you want to know what all clients are available in this particular system. Okay. So now we are using the 800. Okay. But some people like TCS user one, TCS, some company or some other, training, they might be using 800, 810. They might be using 811. So like that. So some they could be using. So you don't know what is happening in those clients, and they will be using it as a dedicated system kind of thing. Okay. But if you take down the system from a OS level, so all of them will get impacted. Okay. That is the problem. So now you can tell me, you can say that, hey, wow, this concept is very beautiful. I mean, you have a client thing. So why can't we put everything in one system? Okay. Why do we need so many SAP systems? Okay. In a particular customer, you see some 20, 30 ERP only, you see some 10 to 15 systems, right? So different regions, it is catering services, different functionalities, you have one system. Why? The reason is, yes, absolutely fine. You can do in all the ERP related functionalities, different financials, so material management, logistics, you can see here, everything you can do in one system. But the problem is, the moment your ERP system, this system is down or some crash or some issue, all of them are not accessible. Okay. So all of them will be impacted. That is a bad thing. So that is why customers they don't try to put so many clients in one system. So they hardly use the main functionality of that particular system with one or two clients. Okay. Yes, you may find customers implementing 30 to 40 clients also. Where the availability is not so important. Okay. So can somebody give me which companies will go with 30 to 40 or 50 clients? Any examples? I'll give one. Okay. So production systems, customers, definitely they do not take risk of having those many clients in the system. Okay. I have seen so far maximum 5 to 8 clients, but not more than that. I mean, any architect or SME will not recommend to go beyond 5 to 8 clients. So because it's so cumbersome and admitting the system becomes very difficult as a basis consultant. And moreover, if the system goes down, though, all the 8 functionalities will stop working. So that is not recommended. Don't worry. But there is an excellent use case where people use 30 to 40 clients. Okay. Let's take development organizations like SAP. SAP is the developers for this thing, right? So they will have 30 to 40 clients. I have seen a system where it has around 110 clients. Imagine managing that system, how difficult it is. So if a user complains that I am not having authorization, so you have to log into the 110 or 101 client, asking him what is the client you are trying, and you basis guys should have access to the 110 clients. Okay. So you have to log into that respective time and respective client and then troubleshoot it. Okay. So why SAP or EY or PwC, where they are developing development systems specifically, okay, development systems, why would they need so many clients? I mean, why do they want to, move to the, why, what is the necessity? The reason is, so it is a development system, number one. So, I mean, fine, if the system goes down, let it be. All the 110 developers will sit idle for 2 hours or 3 hours. I mean, they will go for a break and come back. But imagine setting up 110 systems. It is high costly, very high cost. Okay. So, I mean, they are okay with that. I mean, 2-3 hours development is a development organization. It's not customer where the purchase orders, billing, everything is stuck. So it's just a development. I mean, it's critical for them, but they are okay with that thing. So such kind of development organizations or the development systems where they can go with the maximum number of clients, okay, according to their hardware. It's not that you simply define a client and put as many as you want. It depends on your hardware. How many clients there is a thing like quick size tool in SAP. So sizing tool, I mean, once you have time, just you do that sizing tool. So you will get what are the recommended sizes and recommended number of clients, and those details will be provided. But again, it based on the experience also, you can define this thing. Okay. So now, and moreover, in development system, same system, they also use it as a test system. One client, they can use it as a development client. I will explain you. How do we define one client as a development, one as a client, one as a test client, one is for reference, one is for training. So multiple purposes. They have different clients for the same functionality in the same system. Okay. So hope now you got a clear understanding of, so in the database, so whatever is happening in the 800, it will be written in with the field mandate in the database. That is how your data is segregated over there. Okay, good. So now, good. So here, okay, I will explain you. So data from different clients is kept separate at kernel level. I mean, kernel in the sense that is what writes to the database. Okay. Following are the examples of the client specific data. So what are the client specific data? I explained you. User master data, client specific. I mean, 800 or different clients. Each one has its own user master data. I mean, your users, what I have created. Okay. SU01 data or SU10 or authorizations, PFCZ. The roles and authorizations is client specific, such as parameters, authorizations, and user groups, SU10. Okay, what we have defined over there, it is all the user master. I mean, this is all client specific. And then the customizing data, such as organization units, assignments, and document types. So I'm just reading these terms so that you feel comfortable when I use it, going forward when I'm explaining the concepts. So I will directly use the word client specific data, client cross-client customizing, cross-client data. Okay, client-specific data is when the moment I say client-specific data, you have to relate to any of these three things. Okay, so client-specific, you should not feel like, oh, what is this client-specific data and what is it client-independent data? Okay, so that's why I'm reading these things. So just try to collate it. I mean, understand it. So application data, such as business transaction data and material master data. Okay, so business transaction data means, as I said, hotel management has its own separate transactions, check in and check out, such kind of fields in the table structure. So if you take Tata Steel, so they're, procuring of the steel and processing the steel and then burning it out and waste management. So that tables, you have it. I mean, such kind of structure. So which means the application data, you remember the word application data. So business transaction data or the material master data. So SAP client concept can integrate several companies or subsidiaries in a single client by company codes. Okay, SAP authorization concept. There is one more thing. So, for example, TCS has this hotel management. Okay, so what they did is they have procured, they have what we call they have purchased or they have took one more company. Okay, one more hotel. They added to their list of hotels. Okay, so I don't recollect the exact word. These companies will do, right. So they will take over the other company and they will merge with them. Okay, so such companies, if your subsidiaries or Tata subsidiaries, there are small companies. They Tata won't take them, but still they are the subsidiaries for Tata and they work for Tata, like suppliers for the automobile, Tata car manufacturing. They have a lot of subsidiaries who will supply the parts and etc. They're just subsidiaries, and it mainly owned by the Tata only, but they act as a separate entity.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features? Bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
So those things can be in the same client. For example, 200 client access the Tata Automobile. There with company codes, the procured company or the acquired acquisitions. Yeah, companies can acquire the companies acquisitions. So those companies with you don't want to immediately merge with the existing company, or the existing hotel. What you do, you just define a company code for that new one, whichever is taken in the same client, and because it falls in the category of automobile or a hotel management client. So you just add another company code and then put it under there. So then you have two fields over there, MEA entity, and then whenever you give that company code or the organization data, then only it will try to fetch that particular data. Okay. So, these kind of interesting facilities SAP provided for the big organizations. I mean, that is why they were able to grow from small scale to the large scale industry, and everything is possible in SAP. Anything related to the enterprise management. That's why they were so successful. Okay. Even if you say it is not available, they will do some function module, and they will create it, and they will just release it in the next version so that you can use that functionality. Yeah, that's fine. So good. So this is another important slide, guys. I would request you to pay attention on this slide. Let me put it in a big screen. Good. So here you have to understand the data types in an SAP system. Okay. So whatever I'm talking. So if you don't understand this slide, so going forward, whatever I'm talking, so you may not connect to it. Please stay focused on this particular slide. So again, I'm stressing. Okay, don't think that I'm stressing too much times, because this kind of segregation or the understanding is very much important. If you take client dependent, I explained you client dependent. So the blue color. Okay, client dependent customizing, user data, application data. So that's what I told you. Slowly, I will take you to the client. So client-dependent data to the cross-client customizing and all. Now I am going to explain you what are the data types in an SAP and how they are segregated on the database. Okay. So you see here, you have a client 100, which has its data, client 200, which has its blue color data. If you have a client 300, 300, it has its own data. Client 400, it has its own data. The blue color ones just goes like that. And there is this middle layer, cross-client customizing. Okay. Suppose if your company do some change like invoice logos, okay, logo has been changed, which is a cross-client customizing. So Tata's logo, like recently Kia has changed its logo. Okay. So now, if it is a client-specific one, so you have to go to each client and you have to modify, you have to import that customization. So such kind of things, they will put in the cross-client customizing. So logo, Tata logo is everywhere same. If you go to the Tata hotels, Tata Steel, Tata everywhere, the T symbol, right? On the automobile, everywhere the Tata logo is there. So those things, you put it as a cross-client. So in their ERP system, wherever the Tata is there, always. So if something is changed over here, it will be applicable in all the clients. Okay, so you don't have to do anything. So if Tata thinks that my logo is bad and I have to change it, okay, if they change in one place, like in 000 or anywhere, wherever they want, so it will be visible in all the clients. So that is the cross-client customizing. Okay, perfect, understandable. Now, there are other things. The green things are like available for all. So as I said, repository objects. So this term also important. It's a technical term, but don't worry about it. But yeah, remember it, because this term you have to use it, whenever you are explaining or something. So what is this repository objects? I told you there are certain standard functions like transactions, okay, the ones which we are executing, right? ST22, SM21, or whatever the transactions. These transactions has to be available in all the clients. So these repository objects are also common for all the clients, such as the table definitions. Okay, I mean definition of the table. It's not the content of the table, structure and the definition of the tables, and then the function modules. Okay, SC38, some reports we call, right, the batch jobs, whatever they use. So all these standard functionalities, all those things has to be available in the repository objects. Okay, so and then this particular thing, red one, so it is like in-house development in the customer namespace. Okay, so what do I mean by customer namespace? I told you yesterday. So developers simply cannot develop by themselves. Okay, so each organization or each customer has to register with an SAP with some namespace. Okay, that is a unique word, namespace. It's a word. Remember it. So under a namespace, they have to register. So they can only develop under that particular namespace. For example, TCS, you can register TCS as a namespace. So whatever the development happens in your entire organization, TCS, the developers has to follow that guideline. So I mean, by default, whatever they develop, it comes below the TCS namespace. Okay, so that is important. So that is how SAP knows. So, or else, how does SAP knows who has developed what, which customer has done what? No, nowhere, right? SAP should have a control of the development because it's a development organization. So SAP should know who is developing on my system, because they can take the code completely, right? So, for example, I give you an access to the SAP system, and you take my entire code and you can mimic in Java somewhere, right? So, but who has done that mimic? How does SAP knows who has done that copy? But you cannot sit and type it. That is a different, you cannot do it though. There's no way. So SAP you cannot. But for taking that code from that system, you have to export, or you have to take a backup, or you have to do something on the system, right? For that, or customization. So you should know who is doing. So a developer can only do it under that namespace. Then SAP clearly knows it's mandatory. I mean, SAP insists it. You have to register it as a developer, and then your company should have a namespace. Whatever you do, SAP will only allow you to do under that namespace. Okay. If you go to the service marketplace, SAP will have all the customers and their namespaces list. So if somebody tries to do something to their code, SAP will get to know immediately. Okay. Then immediately they will shoot a complaint. Okay, somebody has tried to do this, and somebody. So that is the development, especially developers. Okay, production that dependent customizing fine, but whatever it is your use case, you have to do it in a namespace. So whatever this organization level developments, the TCS, BP, or whoever is due, they have to develop under a namespace. Okay, assigned namespace. Okay, such kind of developments also available for all the clients. Okay. So, I mean, whether you access it or use it, a different story, but it will be available. Okay. Any questions on this slide before I move to the another one? Clear, guys?
Yes, clear.
Very good. Now, in the previous slide, you understand client-dependent data, cross-client customizing data, and repository objects. What are the repository objects? And what is the in-house developments by the customers? It will be done in the namespaces. Okay. These are the three things, if you can understand. So what I'm going to talk in future, when I refer to these terms, you'll be able to connect nicely. Okay. So standard client roles. Okay. For example, let's go. First, we'll see in the system, and then we come back here. Yes, CC4 I executed. So what I'm going to talk now is the client role. Okay. Here you can't see the client role. For example, you open the 800 client, the one which you have logged in. Let's see what it will say. So what is the client role here? It's a customizing. Okay, C for customizing. So you see here, you have a production, you have a test role, you have customizing, demo, training and education, or SAP reference. So these are the client roles available for a particular client. You can define, for what purpose the client can be used. Is it for production purpose or test purpose or customizing? So in this case, it has been selected as a Okay, selected as a customizing, that's all right. I mean, it can be, it's a training or demo system. It can be customizing, it can be development or anything, but not production. So if you define the production means it will not allow certain tasks to execute, but will come. So that is what I'm going to talk now. What are these standard client roles? Okay, development and customizing. So you have seen the customizing now. So for configuring client setting and creating new functionality. So customizing, the word is simple. There is no extra explanation I need. So you can customize something. I mean, you can modify or you can change the settings and you can create the new functionalities in a customizing or development. Quality assurance, again, it's a self-explanatory for testing functionality and verifying configuration. Okay, production for productive activities and business data. So production client is only for the production. So you should know what is my client, what is my development client, what is my test client, what is my production client. So this can be, these are, let me come to that example once again. So this is the explanation for the production. Sandbox for experimenting with the customizing transactions and settings. Okay. Experimenting transactions and settings. So sandbox is again self-explanatory. You want a playground. You want a playground. You want to play with it. I mean, execute transactions, delete, create, whatever you want. So such kind of experimenting can be done in the sandbox client. So test client for testing configurations and testing using data. And training is for the end user training. Okay. So now let me go back to the system. Okay. So let me go back here. Fine. So the role of the client is fine. Based on your requirement, you can define it. Now, what is important for you to understand is, so you have a development system. Okay. You have a test system. You have a production system. Okay. So you can tell me, hey, in development system, obviously my client is a development or sandbox, purpose of you use. Okay. Please try to connect. So development has a dev client. Quality has a test client. Production has a production client. Obviously, it's a pretty straightforward. Then why do you want to define these kind of client roles? I mean, SAP could have simply restricted in dev system, dev client, production client, test system, test client. So why SAP has created these client roles in every system? You see? So it's a sandbox system. It could have, by default, would have given a sandbox client only. Why I have an option of test client and production client? Hope you're getting my point. What is the necessity of these clients? What is the use case? I mean, when are they going to solve my purpose? I mean, how are they going to be helpful for me? Okay, because it's simple. Dev, test, and production, each one has one client. Okay, that is a standard way of customers doing it. But what is my use case? Why would I need to have these many roles? I mean, 5 or 6 roles. What is the best use case? Can somebody explain? You got my question right clearly. What is the need of these client roles when you have a 3-system landscape happily, dev, test, and production? I mean, when are they going to be useful? Anyone? Speak anything. Anything is fine. I mean, whatever comes to your mind. But I just want to understand you the question, and then I can give you an example. When do we need these client roles and when do they solve our purpose? Absolutely, you're going to do a cost-effective thing. How we are going to do that cost-effective? That is important. Okay, definitely.
It's licensing. Only one system will be taking, and the hardware also. Hardware.
Excellent. Yes. You save a lot of money. You save, you will huge money for an organization. Okay. How we are going to do that? I will explain now. Okay. Perfect. Let's do this now. Let me explain. Hope you got the question right. What I asked. Why do I need these roles? Okay. Let's take TCS example. You have a development system. Fine. You have a 3-system landscape. It's absolutely fine. So development system, test system, production system. Okay. So again, in development system, you take, for simplicity's sake, you take 3 clients. Okay. 000 client is admin client, leave it. And 100 client, let's take 100 client. It is for the automobile. And then you have the 200 client. Take it as Tata Steel. Good. Fine. So developers will develop in 100. Automobile related development done in 100. and then 200 client, they do the Tata Steel related development. Fine, absolutely good, very good. Now, if you want to test it, okay, so if you want to test it in the test system, again, there also you have two clients, 100 test client and then 200 test client. Okay, 100 for a automobile, 200 for Tata Steel. Perfect, again goes there. Now the thing is, SAP will tell you, hey, don't go directly and test it in test system also. It is not good to trouble test system also. Before you go to the test system, you do a unit testing. Okay, unit test. So unit testing means this functionality test. You can ask the users to log into the system and see if it is working or not, that unit test. So the developers or the SMEs, development architects will do that functionality checks. Okay, whether it is my code is working as expected, unit test. So before it goes to the test system, there is one more layer called unit testing. Okay, so I mean, once you develop your product or application, right? First you test it on somewhere, right? So before you send it to a test system, also internally you have to test before you tell to the customer that I have developed so and so things, these are working fine, and telling to the customer and importing in the test landscape. But you have to test it somewhere, it is working. So for that, again, you have to build a new system, unit testing. Okay, that is more irritating. I mean, it is very costly. Again, you have to mimic the development system or a test system, copy of the test system, and then build it and you do the unit testing. That is not recommended. So what you do now is, okay, 100 client my automobile developers have developed, 200 client my Tata Steel guys have developed. That you do one thing. So you create another client 101, 100 and 101. 101 is the automobile testing. 201 is the Tata Steel testing. You got it? So now it is like clear. So unit testing. So the 101 and 201, the new clients which you have defined, you will use them as the test clients. Simple. So you don't have to go to the test system. So what you do is you define those two new clients as the test clients. So you move this customization through transport or the cross, or you would have developed as a cross-client customizing. Okay, I mean cross-client customizing only. So in those two test clients, what you can do, you can access these. You define them as a test client, and you set the authorizations, everything similar to your test system, simple, and then you do the unit testing, whether my functionalities are working or not from development perspective, your perspective, the guys who have developed those perspectives. And then once you are confident, you fixed all those bugs, then you send it to the test system. Okay, so that is the one of the use case, the best use case. I mean, for these having these roles of these clients. Okay, on this plays another important role. Why SAP, like development organization, why would they have 100 clients or 200 clients in a system? The same purpose. So one client they will develop, in another client they will test, and one more client they will define as a demo, because whatever the functionalities they have defined, they want to give demo to the customer, right? I mean, to sell their product. Okay, so they use for a demo, and they have to give the train the internal people, or they have to use for the training other outside people also, SAP training also there. So they need to have a different client or the training client. You got it? So your development happens, your testing happens in the test client, your training happens in a training client, and all these things are accessible, or cross client they can make, because they are the developer, they can do anything. Cross client customizing available, and they will define multiple clients. So that is the purpose of this role. Okay, so for cost saving, and same system you can use, and this is a beautiful use case. Okay, where you want to do development and testing in one system, it will save you a lot of cost. Okay, imagine SAP would have to do, for example, they're developing a 30 to 40 functionalities, modules, MMP, FICO, and then what are the financials, SFIN, S4HANA. So there are different function modules, or the different products. If they want to do development in different systems, it will cost them like a bomb. You know, they have to spend some 5,000, 6,000 systems for that. So what they do is they will procure one nice hardware, perfectly hardware, and they keep scaling out. You know, adding application servers, and they keep defining the applications. Yes, there is an impact. I mean, if the system goes down, all of them are getting impacted. But for that, they have other solutions. High availability. You know. High availability means if one goes down and another will be, we will talk in an advanced course. What is that high availability and how we do that? But there are other facilities. So at the end of the day, saving cost or designing the architecture in the most efficient way is the most important. So that is the purpose of these roles. Okay. Is it clear, guys, why this test, customizing, demo, training? So in the same system, you can define multiple clients and you can use each client for a different purpose. Okay, good. Any questions before I move so far? Are we good?
Yeah, if they are changing in development client, so that should be a cross-client changes, right? So then only it will reflect in the quality client and all. If they want to change in only the client specific, like not a cross-client application, so what they will do?
Okay, who is it asking?
It's Naveen.
Naveen. Hi, Naveen. Excellent question. So it's a very good question. So the development, it can be client-dependent development or it can be a cross-client development. Okay. So, for example, they have developed everything. We will talk about the options also. So client-dependent means it's crystal clear that will not be moved to the other client. Okay. So, I mean, the 800 clients or other clients. So what they will do is they will create the transport and you can import the transport, client-dependent transport also in other client. Okay, you can export. So data file, co-file already available in the same system. You can just log into that new client and you import the transport. That is possible. Okay, but in this context of this example, if you are building a test client, okay, from the development system or the development client, let's assume your 800 is a development client. Okay. So now you want to build a test client. So obviously you want everything in the test client. I mean, this development and all. So what happens is you do a local copy. Okay. SCCL from your development client to the new client. Okay. So there are options. We will talk the profiles. So SAP underscore APPL, SAP underscore all. There are profiles which you copy. So what you do is you set up, you take a profile, okay, which is of only contains the customizing, whatever you have done. There is an option. So SAP underscore cust is the profile. You take that cust and then you build that client, new client. And then you may need a test data also, right, from your test system, because test system has a test data from the production. So what you do is, after your local copy is completed from development client to the test client, where you have customizing structures, everything. So now you bring the data from the test client, test system. Okay. So you do a remote client copy. Okay. For example, 800, you want to bring the data from there. There also again an option. So SAP underscore APPL, which will bring the application related data. So such data you pull it. So it's a two-phase activity. Number one, you take the dev to customizing, and then from there to here, the application data. That's how you build the new client. Or if it is one or two changes, you can always export and import. I mean, transport, export.
Transport. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Clear, Naveen?
Yeah. Good.
Very good. So yes. So the role for we will talk about this in detail. I mean, this local client copy and remote client copy and transport related export and import also in the upcoming slides. But for now, roles of the client and what is the use case? When do we use it? So, I mean, I could have simply explained to you, production client, test client, customizing, but where you save this, I mean, where is the use case is the most important. Imagine you have been placed in a customer project, okay, implementation project. For example, customer is trying to implement. So if they are building so many things, dev system, test system, and production, they might have overlooked it. I don't see some places, some customer projects, the SMEs or architects or not so what we call a design perspective, not so experienced. They would have worked, they would have 10, 15 years of experience, but in terms of the ideas wise, they might not be somehow. So if you could have proposed, I mean, they will go in the blind, I mean, in a crude way, build a one system, because anyway, customer money, right? Customer money, customer only will build a one system. But that times, if you give such an idea, hey, why are you wasting money over there? We will build a simple client, right? We will take a copy, remote client copy from a test system over here. Then you can get rid of test system, or you reduce the size of test system in the sense you don't need to have such a high RAM and high CPU for that. You can go with 50%. because you put development little bit of more hardware, and fine, you are okay to development systems crash also. Obviously, any customer is okay with that. So because if his development or test system goes for a toss, it doesn't matter for him. I mean, as long as production is running, I mean, 1 or 2 days of delay also, it's okay for him, right? You can bring it up and you can work on it. So you have to propose such nice ideas, and because many people are not confident in doing this local client copy or remote client copy. So they may say, okay, let's take, it's a simple crude way, take a backup and build a new system. Anyway, customers' money. No, that is not the efficient way. See, then if you do that, your work also increasing, as an admin work. One more system, few more tickets. So, and then moving up this transports customization from one system to another system and testing over there. And if there are any bugs or if there's any mess, then again, you have to revert that system, test system. So it's all, unnecessary pain in a long running. Okay. So, or you could have simply, as I said, unit testing client, you develop in test system, development system, and you have any unit testing client, fine, perfect, you die. You developers, you test first before you ask me to import in your test system. Okay, you understand? So you do unit testing in your development system itself on a different client, and then you tell me that you have corrected all the bugs and everything. Then you tell me, then I will import in the test system. Okay, that way a clean code or a clean thing will come to the test system. Or else, they do some mess up, and then again they send correction transaction codes, and this is all like unnecessary admin work for you and for anybody. Okay, so that is the use case of these roles. Good. So now let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, so now we discussed about the roles of the client. So when you log into the system, the first thing you see is the client. Okay, so this client, you will see, for example, EH8 system, when we are logging in, by default, it will say the defined client, I mean, at the OS level. Whatever has been defined at the OS level as a default client, that will be displayed over here. For example, let me show you here why we are able to see only 800 when we are logging in. Okay, I will show you why. The reason is because it is painful for the end users to select. Let me set these settings. Change settings. Sorry. Why this thing? Settings, appearance. Where are you? So change. Let me put it to 20 this time. Apply. Okay, good. Now you're able to see my screen. So now we have an option to set what is your default client. So grep -i client and okay, so you see login/system client is 001. So when you try to log into this system, by default, it will give you 001. You may ask me why we are able to do 800, because we are accessing using a web URL, right? So web URL, we have explicitly mentioned 800 client. You see here, SAP client is equal to 800. It is like manually we are selecting. That's why we are directly going to the 800 client in the URL. But in the SAP system, when you try to log in first time, let's see this one, what it will show. 800 or 1 second. This should not do like this. Login_system client. It has to be instance profile. Grep -i. And then here. Could be due to the instance profile. Yes, perfect. This is another interesting thing you need to notice. So your instance profile will always take priority over the default profile. So if you define the same value in the default and then the instance profile, this is again an interesting question in interviews or certification also. Let's suppose you have the same, these are the intuitive questions they will ask for sure. When we talk about profiles also, we discuss it. when you have the same profile parameter defined in the default profile and the instance profile, which will take the priority, obviously the instance profile will take the priority. Okay, this is what is happening. That is why when you try to log in, so it is giving you just default. So ideally, you should not have this profile. You should not have it in instance. So it is better to put it in the default profile because it's a system specific profile and it is applicable for all clients and all the stuff. Okay, so very good. That's okay. So now you understand the difference. So we are able to log into the 800 client. Default, that is why you are getting 800 instance profile. It has defined automatic system login client is this. So if you don't set it, but every time you have to select the client, 800 or 200. So if you have only one client for that production purpose, so you don't want to ask your end users to select the client always. So that is what I'm talking. So that where is this one? This slide. So the first thing when you try to log into the system is the client in which, so that client also what it will take, the login client, what you have defined in the instance profile will be appearing over here. Okay. And then user and password. So if your user has the authentication, then it will let you log in. And if it doesn't have authentication, it will not let you log in. So in general, we have three different clients. 000, Paka, it is like admin client. So only you can do STMS and S license, certain things. System specific tasks and running some job collection jobs, background jobs, etc. Performance related or the statistics related jobs. So 000 is mainly an admin client. Okay. And then you have 066, early watch report, early watch client. 066 is an early watch. What does it mean? So that client, I don't know if you guys have heard of this early watch report. Have you guys heard of it? Anybody? Early watch reports? Yes.
It's like in Solution Manager, we'll get early watch reports.
Exactly.
From solutions.
So 066 is mainly for the early watch report. So what happens is in a monthly once or twice or whatever frequently, so it collects all the data from the system and it will be passed to the solution manager or to SAP, if you have an OSS message. So that is only to perform the remote services, or obviously RFC connection works for Solman and then it fetches the data. So that is only for the reporting purpose or the monitoring of the system purpose or generating that report. So SAP will review that report and in that report, what it contains the existing status of the system. What all parameters defined and what is the usage of the system, what is the RAM consumption, what is CPU, what is the performance, all those things. And SAP also provides you the recommendations. Okay, what can be corrected, and that's the early watch report, which SAP provides to the customers. Okay, we were discussing about the clients, their purpose, what does a client contains, and the cross-client customizing, and we have talked about what are the repository objects which should be available for the entire system, and we have also discussed about roles of the clients. And with a use case where it is important to have different clients or different purpose clients in one system, especially in development systems and test systems. And we understood main types of clients, 000 and 066. 000 is for the admin client and 06 is the early watch, but you don't need to pay too much attention on the client. So the only important client is the production clients. Again, that depends on the customers. If they want to have a 001 to 0010 sequence, or sometimes people want 100, 200, 300 like that sequence. Okay. So client is a 3-digit number. Okay, it cannot be a 4-digit. So it's a 001 or 002 or 100, 200, 300. Up to 999 only you can give. Okay. So it's a 3-digit number. You can't go pre. And the default client, what you log into the system is defined by the system login client parameter in the instance profile. Ideally, it should be in the default profile. If it is available in both the profiles, you should ensure that it is available only in the default profile. Okay, good. So that's about the clients. Now, what we have to do is, how do you create a logical system? Okay, the question I have to put it to you. For example, you have this system. Okay. So let me go back, SCC4. So 800, so they want to create a 900 client, okay, a client number 900 for TCS, okay, for training purposes. So how do we create that? Okay, how do we create it? So how do we create this client? So for example, you can say simply, you go to the display or change. Okay, so it says table is cross client. Okay, whenever you see this, this information, you just ignore and tick it. Can anybody explain me what is this table is cross client? I have explained in the previous slide. What does it mean? You can access this information from any client. If you go to SCC4 from 0000001 or any client, you see the same data, the cross client, which means it is accessible from all the clients. And moreover, whatever you change here, it is trying to give you an information that, hey, whatever you are changing, it is going to be cross client, which means this is visible in all the clients and it is applicable for all the clients. Okay, that is what it is trying to say. So whenever you try to change some cross-client things, so SAP will give you a information that just for the safeguarding, by mistake you don't do anything, it will give you information that it is a table is cross-client and please proceed with caution. It's kind of warning. Okay, now let's do this. So create a client. You may say that, oh, it's simple, create it and new entries. Okay, you're trying to create a 900 client, give the client number. So TCS client description or something, TCS CLNT TCS client. Let me put a description, not let TCS CLIENT 900. Okay, and then city you define it as some Bangalore. That's all right. So Bangalore. Here it is working. TCS CLNT 900. Okay, so here and Bangalore. Let's give this. So logical system here, it is the important thing, guys. Okay, so whenever you are defining the new client, right, you should have a logical system defined over here. So I don't think this system has a logical system defined over here. Okay, logical system is SID, CLNT, and 900. It is a mandatory thing. So it's all these logical systems. See here in this column defined over here. Yesterday also we defined this logical system. So TCS CLNT 900. Let's see if it is there. It is not there. Okay, no entry found. So without having this logical system field, it will not let you save. Or let's say if I try to give TCS CLNT 900, it's not there. But if you try to save it, see, TCS CLNT doesn't exist in TBDLS, in the table TBDLS, which is nothing but a logical system. Okay, so see now it is highlighted. Logical system is highlighted here. Okay, so this is the one of the most important thing when your customer asks you to create a new client. Okay, it is very important that you create this logical client first. That is what we are going to talk now. So this is what it is telling. Define the logical system. There is another way to do from the logical system. SPROT code you can do, or there is another thing, BD54. It's a direct T code. Okay, from BD54, let's do this. It's important, guys. The logical system definition, please pay attention. So first thing is when a customer asks you to create a client, what you have to do? Logical system creation. So now go to the /n BD54. Table is again, this is also a cross-client table. See this information. See, this is the logical system. So let's say new entries. So define the logical system first. So TCS, and the format has to be the same exactly. TCS, SID, client, and then which client we are going to do? 900 client. So TCS training client. TCS training client. Let me create it. Okay. Then what do you do? Save. Okay. So obviously, whenever you do this workbench or this thing, it tries to create a transport request. So let's say tick OK. That's all right. You save it in this particular transport request. So it is created. Data saved. Now, if you go to the SCC4, sorry, SCC4. Okay. When you try to create a new client, it will allow to do. Okay. But for now, you understand that BD54 logical system creation is the most important thing. I mean, you have to do before you create the client. Okay. So now, let's do it. I mean, let's create the client. Let's see. I mean, with the example itself, we will discuss all the things so that it will be clear. So now, first thing is you create the logical entry. Your customer has asked you to create a new client and you are proceeding to create. So what you do now, change your display. Okay. Nothing else, display or change. Cross client, that's all right. New entries. Now let's define this client 900 here. 900, we are creating the new client, empty client, I would say. Okay, 900. And then what? TCS CLNNT 900. So, and then city, Bangalore. So Bangalore, it's already there. So now you go and find the TCS CLNT 900. It should be there. TCS. Let's see TCS with name TCS. So here you see connect to TCS training client. You select this client. Okay, it has been come. So currency is INR. So or you can select it from here. Okay, you see all the currencies just for your information purpose. Okay, so you select the currency. I mean, in which currency, and the client role here for what purpose we are doing training or education. So let's do this one. So now forget about these things, changes and transports for client specific objects, cross client object changes, client copy and comparison protocol, CATs and ECAT restrictions. We will talk in the next slides. I mean, what all these things you have to select in a client and you can change it. Okay. For now, let's create a dummy client. Be careful when changing the logical system. Okay. So this is again information. Let's click it. Perfect. So the client has been saved. Now let's save again. Fine, saved. Now go back. Okay, now you see SCC4. Sorry. Okay, now you see the client 900. Okay, you see the screen, right? It's the INR. So created by so and so person. Suppose if you want to see somebody has changed it recently, so you can change it, check it over here. Last changed by EST user 1, and this is the date I have done. Okay, it's sometimes you want to find who has changed this client settings. For example, somebody have changed these settings, who has changed and when they have changed it. Those things you can find. The details you will find over here. Fine. Now let's go to our theory part. So now what we did, we created a logical system. Okay. We created a dummy client. Okay, how to get the data and from where to get the data, that we will discuss. For now, we will try to understand. We will try to understand what all the things. So here, this same slide, what I've explained you. This is a 900 client we created, and here the purpose is unit testing. But in our case, we were doing for the our testing and training purposes. Fine, leave it. So city Bangalore, and logical system is the most important, BD54, and until unless you have defined the logical system, it won't let you to create the thing. So now we'll see what are these options: changes and transport for client specific tools, cross client objects. So these things we will see now. Okay, let's go to the another slide. Good. So we are talking about changes and transport for client specific objects. Okay. So what are these? Where is the system? So let's open this thing. So we are going to talk about these options, these 4 options. Okay. Changes without automatic recordings and automatic recording. What are these? No changes allowed. What happens if you select one particular this thing? Okay. So changes without automatic recording. The first one. So in the screenshot also you see changes without automatic recording. So I'm talking about this one. In the bottom, you have this changes without automatic recording. Automatic recording of changes. No changes allowed. Changes without automatic recording. No transport allowed. So fine. So I will simplify this one. Okay. So, okay. I can use the same slide to explain this thing. Okay. So what happens if you select without automatic recording? So you need to understand your business context or the purpose of this client. Start. Is customizing required in the client? You have to ask this question. So customizing in the sense, any functionalities, I told you, what is customization? Development, basically. Any development or any changes to the functionalities involved? Yes. Your answer is yes. Do customizing changes need to be promoted to the other clients? I mean, so whatever the changes you do in this particular client, or let's say it is a development system, whatever the changes you do here, do you want them to copy to the test system or other systems? Okay. I mean, do you want to make them as the transport request? You want to create the transport request or not? Yes. So then you select automatic recording of the changes. So which is the second option. Okay. So which means whatever the development you do, so you want to record them in the transport request, then you select that option. So this we mainly do it in the customizing client or some cases development side. Suppose, okay, I am just enhancing my functionality in this system. Okay, now again come. Start. Is customizing required in the client? Yes. So do the customizing changes need to be promoted to the other clients? Okay, no, I don't want to move it to any other system. I don't want transports. I am happy with whatever I am developing in the system. I am developing it as a cross-client customization so that everybody can access in this particular system. So we don't want to do anything. Okay. Then he says no transports allowed. So which is fourth option. So changes without automatic recording. I mean, it won't record the changes what he's done, and no transports allowed. I mean, no transports are needed for that. So now we have discussed about automatic recording of the changes, second option, and the fourth option. Now the question comes, is customizing required in the client? No. Then you just select no changes allowed. What is the example of customizing in not production systems? In production systems, we do not touch any of the customization. We don't do development definitely in the production system. So if you do development in the production system, it's a crime. Okay, I told you. So changing the assigning SAP all and all as serious as it. So going to a production system and doing a development is the crime. Crime in the sense you will be fired for sure. Okay. So there is no doubt that if you touch in production development, any developer who goes there and touch it, gone case. So, but anyway, before you, that is again a reactive method. Okay, somebody went and somebody changed it. To prevent it for anybody to development, what you have to do is no changes allowed. So always the production client, if you look into your production systems, if you have one, so the client setting is always no changes allowed, which means even though developer logs in and he tries to change also, it doesn't let it will tell that your client is protected by the administrator. You will not be able to do any changes. That information, what we are getting, right? Cross-client customizing, such kind of messaging will be prompted to the developer. Okay. And you may say that, hey, he can go to SSC4 and he can change the setting. No, he will, because, in production systems, the authorizations are defined in a very clean and structured way. Whoever is the administrator, only those administrators will be able to change it. Especially in Basis, guys, will have the SSC4 access. The rest all do not have access at all. Developers and functional people do not have access to this SSC4 first of all. Okay. So in production, we go with the no changes options. Okay. So sometimes if you don't want the transports, so changes without automatic recordings. Okay. So, I mean, if you want to do the customization and then you go with the, you don't want the automatic recording of the changes, you go with this particular option. So this first section, clear, right? Changes and transports of the client specific objects. These 4 options relevant for this one. Okay. Any questions, guys, here? Is it clear? So in production, generally we take no changes allowed. Okay. In test system, so changes allowed, but without automatic regarding. First option we may go, but again, it's a customer's choice. They may tell you there also you don't allow the automatic regarding of the changes, no changes. I mean, test also they will say you keep it as similar to the production, you go with no changes allowed. So believe, keep always in mind. So not giving access is better than, giving access. So see, if you're not sure anything, block everything in basis. You keep this in always in mind. So if you are not sure what to put, don't allow anything. So no changes allowed. So this also no changes allowed. Restriction level high. So not allowed. That's it. So, I mean, keeping at not allowed status is better safeguarded than allowing. You getting my point very clearly? So you always, as a basis guy, you have to ensure that you block everything. So you mean wherever you get a chance, no changes allowed. Until unless, I mean, if you don't know the purpose, or if you don't have a clear communication from the customer, or as a decision by the infrastructure architecture, or those guys will give you implementation steps. Until unless this has been finalized, if you are not sure, so always block it. Okay, that's your first thing. If you're not sure on something, you block it. Simple. No changes allowed, no changes. Let the people come and then you discuss it. Hey, I have blocked it. I'm sorry, I don't have an approval for changing this one, because it's a very, very important thing. The moment you say changes without automatic thing, suppose first thing, people can change it, but they cannot record it. Fine, but still they're able to change it. It's not good. So, and then changes without automatic, no transport allowed, still they will be able to do. So automatic recording of changes are happening. So remaining three options, change is happening. You getting my point? Remaining three options, change is happening. It is just that, do you need the transports or not? Is the question of, do you need record the changes, or do you need transports or not, is the question. Remaining three. But that is why, if you don't know, if you have no clarity, nobody has communicated you, just block it. Forget about which system it is or whatever is the system. Okay, until unless somebody asks, you don't open it. So this is called the client opening and client closing. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. Fine. If somebody asks you to please open the client, okay, open the client. I mean, client opening. Have you heard of this term in your thing? So they will ask you to open the client. So what
yes, we do it.
Same activity, right?
Yeah, we do the same activity.
Excellent. So that is what is mean by the client opening. The best practice is you block. Now it is clear, right? What are these four things? Okay. So now let's proceed with the next one. So cross-client objects. So yeah, going with this structure, it will make you crazy. But if you want to go through it, it's fine, good. Fine, let's, for the terminology purposes, we will do it. So now what we are going to talk now is this cross-client objects. Okay. So what cross-client objects here, these are the things. One, let's see what are these things. Changes to repository and cross-client customizing allowed. No changes to cross-client customizing. No changes to repository objects. No changes to repository or cross-client. These are the 3 or 4 options which we have. So now that is why I have explained, I spent some 15 to 20 minutes while you're starting the session for you to understand what is the repository objects, what is the cross-client customizing, what are the client-dependent customizations. Okay. Now, here talking about cross-client object changes. So here we are talking about client-specific object, which are the transports or whatever we do in the client. Okay. Now, we are talking about the restriction levels to the cross-clients. Okay. So now, Lord, let me go to this slide. Okay. So again, I'm coming here. So the blue part, whatever is there, that is the client-specific objects. No application data. Do you want to change the changes or not? That is the first section which we have discussed. No changes allowed, automatic recording and all. Now we are talking about this cross-client customizing. Okay, cross-client customizing, which means whatever the changes you do in this cross-client customizing will affect the entire system. So here you have to be more careful. So at least in the client-specific, there also you have to be careful. But here it has to be, you have to be much more careful. So what I am allowing, what I am not allowing, because if you allow something here, then it will be visible to all the clients and the changes affected everywhere. So which means you have to be very, very careful here. So cross-client customizing, what are the things over here? Repository objects, such as table definitions, programs, transactions, and function modules. Okay, that's why I'm coming to this slide. And then you have the in-house developments or cross-client customizing functionalities, what the customer develops. Fine. Let's go to our slide now. Okay. Now, here you need to select what is it you need. Where is this system? Okay. So, if you put changes to repository and cross-client customizing allowed, first one. Okay. So changes to repository and cross-client customizing allowed, which means you have opened the entire client, entire system. Which repository means the function modules, everything anybody can edit in any client. Number two, cross-client customizing also allowed. Any custom specific codes or anything, whatever the customer wants to do, that middle layer, green layer, so they can edit. So this is the most dangerous one. So in production, never ever select the first one, changes to repository and cross-client customizing, until unless you have a change management approval or you have a clean approval from your respective defined process. Okay. So and then they have segregated it to terms. No changes to cross-client customizing objects. So which means no changes to customizing. Whatever the customizations these guys do, those customizations that is not available. No changes to repository. When you select this one, so they can do everything in the system apart from repositories. Repositories means standard functionalities like transaction codes, function modules, other things. So you don't want to let them touch anything in this one. So repositories, then you can select this option. So no changes to repository, cross-client objects. So if you don't know anything, you always put the third option. This no changes. You are neither allowing repository nor allowing cross-client until unless somebody gives a specification that what he's doing. So if he says that I'm only doing a customizing objects, cross-client customizing, then you allow the no changes to customers repository. Okay. When you put no changes to repository, then he can do cross-client customizing, other things. Okay. So like that. You have to restrict the access as per the, suppose if he wants to touch repository only, then you give one, no changes to cross-client so that he can edit the other one, repository. So like that. Or, so if you put the, when a customer asks you to change the, this one, open the client, generally you take the 001, but that is fine. This changes to repository and cross-client customizing is allowed. And when they ask you to close it again, you always take the no changes to repository and cross-client customizing objects until unless if they have given you a clear restriction. Is this clear, guys? Please. So client opening and client closing. So these are the two important things which you have to understand. Clear before we proceed? Anyone has any questions? Hello?
No. Clear, Nisha.
Excellent. So ECADs and all we discussed at the end. For now, you just understand two aspects: client dependence, changes allowed or not, transports are allowed or not. That is one thing. And the second one is cross-client and repositories, whether you want to allow it or not. That is a simple two things. Okay, if you don't know, always block it. No changes allowed, no cross-client or repositories allowed. Simple. You don't need to by heart there. So they are just self-explanatory. When you build the system by default, you put them. Okay, until unless somebody asks you to do it. Good. So now client copy and transport tools. So again, this I've already explained this slide, but just for a recap, I have put it over here. So client dependent data is the application data and the user data, and I don't want to bore you again talking on the same thing. So we'll go to the direct. There are profiles. Before we move and discuss about these tools, I think if we discuss it later, it would be good. Fine. I'll give you an introduction now for the copy profiles. So now we have created a new client. Okay, 900 client, TCS 900 clients. Let's go back. So this client. So we have given the purpose training and education purpose. Okay. Now you want to copy from the 000 client or 800 client or whatever the other client. What is the profile you have selected when you copy? Okay, there is an option to select the profile, SAP_user. Okay, so this slide, it is not easy to remember, but you save it somewhere in your local laptop or somewhere. or refer to this slide whenever you are doing a remote client copies. Whenever you are doing client copies, please open this PPT. Sorry. Because it is not possible to remember all these, what exactly this profile will do. But I will give you 3 or 4 profiles which you can remember and most frequently we use.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
SAP_user. No, let's talk about SAP all first, the bottom one. Okay, let's talk about SAP all. So you see this one, SAP all? Okay. All client data except change documents, and local data is copied. So, if I have to put it, so if you copy from 800 to 900 clients, which we just defined, everything will be copied. So user master data. So there are 3 types of data. If I have to put it in knots, user data or client independent data, if I have to put it, the blue color one in the slide I explained, application data or the client dependent data, and then repository or the cross-client customizing, everything will be copied if you do it as a part of SAP. If you select the profile as SAP all, okay, that is the crude way of doing. You can do that, but SAP all is not recommended because this will copy everything, unnecessary thing, the whole thing. So it is useless sometimes, and it takes a lot of time because the SAP all will bring you both client dependent and cross client customizing data. So there will be huge data, some 50 GB or 100 GB. Copying that doesn't make sense. Okay, in some situations, there are examples I will give you when SAP all is not recommended, not needed. SAP_user, first one, this you do very frequently. Okay, so you just want only users, user roles, and authorization profiles. Okay, authorization profiles. So for example, I have created your TCS users, okay, in 800 client, okay, 10 users. Let's think about it. I have created some 1,000 users. So in my 800 client, 1,000 TCS users are there, okay. But however, I want to create a new client for these 1,000 users for a different purpose, for testing purpose or something. But creating these 1,000 users is a very painful one, right? Again, you have to copy user data, everything you have to create SU01, copy it, or mask or export or import, whatever it is, all painful. So in that case, you just only the user master data, users data, or authorizations and profiles. So then you go with the SAP_user. Okay, sorry. SAP_user. So that is the use case. When do you need an SAP user? So you are creating a new client. You just want only the user data, or you have created another new development system for a different customer or a different purpose. Okay. And you want from this existing system only the user data. Okay. Say same customer, but you have another development system. So you want to get those 1,000 users, security guys will go crazy if they want to create manually with Excels. One by one they have to create. Or in a mass user maintenance also there, but still it's a tedious and it is prone to do manual errors in such cases. So what you do a remote client copy. You have system, it's in another use case. One system to another system copy. So there you do a remote client copy, only you do SAP user. SAP all in remote client copy is not recommended. As I said, because it uses it has the more data. Remote client copy happens via an RFC connection. So due to network and all, that remote client copy may fail. Okay. So SAP all is not recommended. So only in local client copies, sometimes you can do the SAP all, but it's up to you. Local client copy, it is fine, SAP all. Suppose if you want to bring everything. But SAP user is the use case when you want to take the user master data. So SAP customization, SAP underscore cust. Okay, so Naveen has asked a question, right? So, I mean, when a client, customer has developed in customizing in one client, if he wants to take the same customizing to the other client, right? So then when you are doing the client copy, you use the SAP underscore cust. Okay, this is the one way to do it, Naveen. So client specific customizing, including authorization, profiles is copied, the application is data is deleted. I mean, so only the customizing will go, the application data will not go. And if you want another thing, only the application data. Okay, if you want only application data, SAP underscore APPL. Okay, so SAP underscore APPL bottom second. So it is just but SAP underscore all without the user master data. Okay, I will give you another example. So when this profile makes sense, can somebody explain SAP APPL? So I mean, or you tell me when you don't need a user master data. See, you want everything in that particular client. Okay, I mean, you want to build a new client on a different system or a same system, but you don't want any of these users. So, and deleting those users also a tedious job. Okay, one use case, SAP underscore user, where I have told you use case, you are building a new system where you want exactly all the users which are existing in that particular system, then you do remote client of SAP underscore user. So, what is the example of when you don't want the user base? Okay, I'll tell you. So this customer, okay, this is needed when you are building again a new system, okay, or when they are moving it from support from TCS to Accenture or TCS to, I mean, suppose if I'm using the, today I'm doing a training to your TCS, tomorrow if I'm doing to the training or some business to the Accenture, I mean, the vendor is changed, okay. Now I have to deleting all your users is a painful thing, okay? Or I mean, I want to separate TCS from the Accenture, but they both will be using the same. See, if Accenture, okay, let me put it in a clean way. So now we are creating this 900 client, right? Okay. Now I want to create a new client, okay, out of this 900, where I don't want the users of TCS because Accenture logs into that other client, 100, what was the 920 or 930 client. So that time, again, if copying that 900 client and then deleting the users is a painful thing, because maybe you may say that we are 10 users only, but if there are 1,000 users, then it's a problem. So what I will do is SAP APPL. So it will take everything from that client, 900 client, what is the TCS is using currently, because I have done some customizations and everything. It takes everything except the user data, okay, except the users which I don't want. Okay, I can create the new Accenture users over there. I can create or I can take it from other system, or it doesn't matter, whatever my way. That is the use case. When you don't want the user data, then you use the SAP APPL. Clear, guys? So the rest of ones we don't use at all. I mean, in my experience, I never used any of the other profiles. So I used SAP, sorry. So user, I used SAP cust, I used SAP all, most frequently SAP all, because in the internal development system, they will say just go with SAP all. And then SAP APPL also I used. So rest all, I mean, if somebody asks you due to some reason, so the developers or experts will provide you which profile to be copied. So you don't have to bother about it for now. Just understand this is what happens in these profiles. Okay, clear, guys? So they will let you know the profile which has to be copied also, don't worry. So the architect or SME or the developers will give you what profile you have to copy when you are doing a remote client copy or the local client copy. Clear on this topic? Okay, but just know that this is what happens when you copy. So CUSV with variants. So when there is a word V with variants. So wherever there is, for certification purpose, I will remember like this. So whenever there is, that is also important. So it is nothing but whenever there is a SAP cust with variants, same as, exactly SAP cust, but it copies along with the variants. So and then you have the UCSV, same, it's like UCS and along with variants. Okay, so good. So any questions, guys, before we move to the next slide? Okay, so for example, do all users will be able to do the authorization, client copy? I mean, SCCL, what we are going to do, I will explain you. So all the users, the developers, functional people do not have access to do a local client copy or remote client copy or whatever this way, or changing the client also, I told you. So only the admins will have the access. So we admins doesn't mean that we have an SAP all, no. So we admins also for basis roles, these are the authorization objects when I explained the PFCC, right? So these are the objects needed for a person or a user who is going to do this client copy. Okay, these are the authorizations needed. Just for, again, exam purpose, I have noted it down. So what are the authorizations needed in order to perform a client copy? Okay, so these are the, so S underscore tabu, S underscore client, S underscore data center. So this is just for naming purposes. Okay, how you remember, it's up to you. So there is no explanation I can give you over here. Okay, these are the standard SAP objects. So which you may have to remember when you are writing for certification, but or else ignore it. Okay, just for information. So client copy and tools continue. Yes, this slide is the, if you understand this slide, then we can straight away go ahead and do the client copy in the system. Okay, so I mean, all the relevant things we will talk while doing the client copy itself. Good. So here you need to understand. So there are 3 ways to do the client copy. Okay. Can someone explain? Anybody done the client copy in your organization? Anybody? Anyone has done client copy? Okay. So there are 3 ways to do the client copy. So local client copy, remote client copy, and then export and import. So I already given you a couple of examples. So it's easy for you to local client copy, which is from the same system, one client to another client. So remote client copy, one client of the, for example, today's EH8 system to EV8 or some other system. So you are copying that client. Okay. And then in the client copy also, you have options. SAP underscore user profiles are there. Forget about them now. So, I mean, that depends what is the use case, what you want to copy. But, and the another option is export and import the client. So let's say, so remote client copy and export and import both are same, one system to another system. Okay, not in the same system. So when you're doing that, export means you will export it as a transport. In the, for example, this is your source system. Let's say here. So here is the red color one. It's a source system, and then you have a target system. Number one, you define the RFC connection between this system source to the target, and then you trigger the remote client copy. So then it will copy. Okay, but sometimes there will be a lot of network latency. Okay, RFC connection may not be stable, so it keeps failing. So most of the remote copies, this is the biggest problem. Okay, so it will complete up to 98% and then it will fail. Gone case. Then again you have to do from the starting from the scratch. Okay, so network inconsistencies or network glitches are the biggest problem when you are doing the remote client copy. So for that, what they do is, I mean, there is another way. If you want to copy from one system to another system, it's a transports. Okay, so what you do is you export the client in the source system. I mean, SCC3T code, we will see. I will execute it. I mean, first we do a local client copy and then we do that. So you can export it. You take the data file and co-file to the target system. Yes, fine. There will be some 10 GB or 20 GB, but it is okay for you. I mean, from the server management, from server side, it is very quick. Okay. Or you put it in a NAS filer. Okay. NAS, you know NAS filers. So which means they are network file systems. You can mount in the same network. You know, you get the access for the NAS on the same source system and target system. So temporary purposes, you just mount it and access those data onto co-file and import it in the target system. That is the easiest way. Okay, easiest way to do the easiest way, or if your client size, if you have to do the SAP underscore all, or consistent way. I mean, without any issues, you can export and import into the target system. Okay. So, since we are in this slide, okay, I want you to tell me one thing. Fine, theoretically, it looks very good. You know, you have a source system and you have a target system. But what remote client copy is the tricky one. Source client copy, fine, but remote client copy, is it possible? I mean, what are the prerequisites? Okay. What all things it will do when you trigger a remote client copy? See, number one, guys, remote client copy very rarely we do, but yes, sometimes you charge it. So one thing is the target system should have the same structure. Okay. So same structure or the same table format of the source system. You understand? So it should belong to the similar architecture, similar structure, tables and all. So it is not like, source system is of 740 version and target system is of 750 version SAP Basis, then you do a remote client copy. No, because from NetWeaver 740 version to let's say ERP 6.0 EHP1, here ERP 6.0 EHP2. So it is not recommended to do a remote client copy, either to export import or remote client copy. Both are not recommended. So the prerequisite is both the source and target system are of the same version at least. Okay, same version, and your standard structures and tables all has to be the same. Or else, when you copy the data, okay, when the remote client copy is running, if it is not finding that the table structure or if it is not finding the column, where it has to put the address or something, some column has been changed, attribute has been changed. Where does it put? It doesn't put. So it will lead to an inconsistency and it will tell you error. You getting my point, guys? So when you are doing a remote client copy, source and target has to be the same version, same structures, and there should not be a difference. Okay, then only the remote client copy will be successful. So instead of copying it and causing the problem, what it happens is when you do a remote client copy, it will do a consistency check, whether my source and target are compatible. Okay, source and target have the same structure or not, that consistency check. If it fails or it says that no, both these versions are different, we will not be able to proceed with the remote client copy. Clear? Any questions, guys, on these three topics? Local copy, remote client copy, and then export and import via transport. Any questions? So shall we do a local client copy now? Are we good? So let's do the remote client copy. Sorry, local client copy. So what we did before, we have, am I able to say yes or no, guys? Are you all following me, this topic?
Yeah.
So what we do now is we will do a local copy. So we have created the client. Let me go back. 900 client, it's a dummy now. So you just defined in BD54 and you have just created some roles and you have assigned some automatic recording of changes. Fine, let it be as it is now. It's anyway training one, it doesn't matter. Or if you want. So now I want to bring data to this client. Okay, so let's go to the SCCL. Please follow me because this is more important than this theory, because nobody knows whether you know the theory or not, but people will ask you whether. So target client. Okay. Why this is taking the target client directly? Very good. Can anybody tell me why this is taking target client as 800? So now, okay, I want to copy the, source client you can do. Okay, source client you can do anything. Source client, let me select it here from here. So what I want to do is I want to copy from 000. Choose. Source client, I have an option. But rest all or grayed out, I don't have an option. So, you want to log into so currently which client you are in? 800. Can you see my screen bottom? So I'm in the 800 client. Okay. So it is important that you have to log into the new client what you have created. Okay. So it won't give you an option to change the client here. Okay. You must log into the 900 client, dummy client, what you have just created. Okay, that is the trickiest part. I will show you many theory. So now you have to log into this 900 client. So logging into this 800 client doesn't help you. Okay, so let's log into the 900 client and then do the SSCL. And you want to copy from 000 to 900. Let's do that. So what I'm going to do now, let me go here. So change it to 900. because that GUI URL web UI works only with 800 because that was configured with 900 client. I'm trying to log in. Now the most interesting question or the important question: with which user you log in? Because it's a dummy client you created over there. You just created BD54, and from SCC4 you have defined the client, location and logical client, everything. But with which user you log into that? Until you log into this, it will not let you do the client copy. Please, anybody, what user you use?
SAP star.
Okay. Password?
Pass.
So this is the most okay, pass. It's not working. What would I do now? So, SAP star pass is not working. What will I do? Definitely you face this problem. No matter which customer you are working, SAP star people would have changed it for sure. And, they don't allow SAP star. If they keep allowing SAP star, anybody for, outside people also can have this login credential in SAP star login pass, PASS. It's such a simple password. Okay. So now, how?
Check in the profile, like whether SAP star is allowed or not.
Excellent. Yes.
Check in the profile parameters.
Exactly. So where I am coming. Okay. So now, grep SAP star. Then we do the define. Okay. So the parameter is there. Login, no automatic user SAP star, but it is commented out. Can you see the screen? Clear, guys? So it is commented out. So which means we have to uncomment it out. So VI. So SAP is the whole things are reversed. So login, no automatic user SAP star is equal to 0. Escape. X. Okay. So you see, login, no automatic user star is equal to, it's a reverse way of telling this. If this no automatic user star is equal to 0, which means you will be able to log into the system with SAP star. Okay. If it is 1 means you will not be able to log in. Okay. Or you delete this parameter at all completely. So now what I'm going to do is I uncommented it out. Escape. Okay, I'm saving this file. Fine, it has been saved. So now let's check the more this file. Let's see if the parameter has been correctly set or not. Okay, so now I have set. So now if I go to login, does it work? No. Why? Because you have changed the parameter in the default profile. So you need to take a restart of the system. Is it clear, guys? So you need a restart. If you don't know the SAP star password, first you have to make it this parameter, you define it in the default profile, and then you have to take a restart. Let's take a restart. SAP control, I told you this control, minus NR, instance number 00, okay, minus function, okay, stop system. I'm taking a restart. And then what I will do is I will monitor the system also, whether it has been stopped or not. So what you do, watch minus D, okay, SAP control minus function, okay, get process. See, system is down now. I got a problem. No, I don't want this one, process. Okay, so it has stopped. So dispatcher has been stopped, gray color, and then IGS has also stopped. So system is stopped successfully. Let's do this thing. So now what I'm going to do now is the start system. So let me do function. Start system. You have to take this, but don't do it in productions. So restarting the system, you need an approval. So if you don't know the parameter, so you ask them that, hey, we have to set the parameter and take a restart, get the approval, and then take a restart. So that for the SAP star will be enabled. Start system. Good. So now let me monitor if the system comes up or not. So watch minus D. So watch minus D nothing but every 2 seconds, it will update me the status. So you see, now it is still gray. Let's see. Yeah, now it's changing the status. Yellow. So dispatcher is yellow. And then IGS watchdog is green. So it's coming up slowly. I just want to show you what happens with, see, server is in startup procedure. It is running yellow. So everything should become green. So yeah, now you see dispatcher is green, IGS is green, gateway is green. Gateway is mainly used for the what? RFC connections. That's what I was telling yesterday. If your gateway is down, your RFC connections will fail. Okay, and then ICM, web-based copy. Fine, now the system is up. Now let's see if it will allow me to log into the SCCL or not. So let me try to log in. Now change the client because 800 is the default client. So you want to log into the newly defined dummy client. Now let's see SAP star. Pass. See, you are allowed. Perfect, right? So now you are in this system. So first thing is you can create one user. Okay. So user trainer. Okay, copy it from SAP star. Or you can create by pinching, SAP star doesn't exist. So then you have to create a new user trainer. So these are all problems will come. Okay. Now you have to define because it's a dummy client, it doesn't have anything. So you have to define your company and all. Let's not do this now. So let's use SAP star now. Okay, that's you have to define SAP company and all. So as soon as you log in, because if you do a local client copy, it will bring everything. So why do you want to do this manual company definition and all? You got it, what I'm trying to say. So just go ahead and do the SCCL. Okay, so now you see 900 client here. So what is the source client? So you have an option always to select the source client, but not the target client. Target client, you have to log in. So 000 I'm talking because it contains less data because we are just doing a demonstration. We don't want it to fail. So selected profile, so these are the profiles which I was talking. Anyway, the description is also over here. So here, let's try to get only users because it is fast. It completes fast. SAP_user profile I've selected. So if you want to do test run, so these client copies don't do immediately like dialog. As I said, these are the long-running processes. You always better to run in the schedule background job. So schedule the background job. Okay, background server. If you want to define any background server, you can define it. Let's do. I think in our case, it's only this one, ECC. Okay. So no printer dialog. No printer dialog means do you need a spool or it will ask you whether you want to print it or not. You don't want it. And you want to schedule the job immediately. Just right now, we want to start the copy. So it is always good, guys. Don't do multiple tasks. I mean, when you are working on such activities, basis, it is very important. Whenever you are working on an outage or troubleshooting, or whenever you are working on production systems or this kind of client copy activities, don't do multiple parallel working. I mean, one way you are chatting in Teams or Skype with your colleagues and all, maybe you are working on a different issue. So whatever is it, stop doing everything. So the reason is, by mistake, I don't want you to pick wrong source client or wrong thing. Or in outage things also, some people, because every system has a similar screen. Sometimes instead of executing in developed system by mistake in some mode or some discussion which is happening, you go to your production client and you execute it. Okay, I've seen cases. So that will lead to a very bad thing. Okay, for you. So always you check what system you are working at the bottom. SID. Clear confirmation. What client? 900. What server? This one. So this is very important, guys. Basis, guys. Do not go with any. If you're not feeling in mood, you take sick leave rather than going. I mean, if you are in a cold tablets or something, if you have taken, don't get into the system. by mistake, there are chances of you logging into a wrong server or the wrong system and executing it. Okay, these are the best practices. Okay, so for some customers, what they do is to avoid it. I mean, in my project, what I do is, so for the production, I keep red color, this background, a little light red or light pink. So there is an option in SAP GUI, and there are parameters at default instance profile. You can define this GUI always comes in a pink color, and the test system green color, and for the development system blue color. It is just a way, because I have seen a case one guy has done by mistake. It was not intentional. By mistake, he has done something in the production instead of the test system, because all system looks the same, and the SIDs also looks the same. So if your test dev system is EH7, EH8, EH9, I mean, continuous sequence numbers will be there. So, and wrong server also, people have deleted files of these things. So this happens, but it is always be in right mindset. And every log, you read it, or every screen. That is how you become practical or comfortable. For example, this is a screen as well. Just clicking on continue is fine. 1 second task. Right? But you need to see what is your performing. Local client copy. You have chosen the file, because SAP will give you everything. It's just that how you view it and understand it. What is my target client? 900. What is the profile name? SAP_user. What is my source client? 000. You validate these things. So what are you copying? Authorization, profiles, and roles. That's it. And user data. I mean, what are the users in 000? So copy mode, is it a test mode or you can run a test mode? So you want to see how long it will run. So, okay. Another important question in production. How do you know how long this copy runs? Because customer will ask you, hey, you are running a client copy in the production, how long it will run? I mean, if it is a long running, some 5 hours or 6 hours, I would expect you to complete in the night time. Okay, so that you can trigger in the evening 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, so that by the time next morning it will complete. Because you always run this client copy, these things in a low load on the system times, guys. This is also another best practice. So please keep in mind, you run these kind of things when the system has less load or during night times. Okay, that is important. Not your night time, system's night time. So if the system is of a Europe system, where the end users are from the Europe, Germany and London and all, so where they log in mostly in Europe time zone, you always perform these activities out of their business hours. Okay, that is what you have to see. Good. So how do you assess the test mode? So you do the test mode, so and then run it. It will give you how long it can run, and it takes again 1 hour to sometimes half an hour to 1 hour, and it will give you how long it takes. So number of parallel processes. So if it is a daytime, it is absolutely needed to be done in the daytime. Don't give too many parallel processes here. You give less number of parallel processes so that it will not impact. It may take longer time, but it will not impact. But it is weekend or the night time, then you keep many parallel processes. Okay. So background job was successfully scheduled. Log is displayed in the SCC3. Okay. Now, how do we see this particular job? So go to SCC3. It has given you where to check also. So client 000 is locked for logons. The client copy was properly cancelled. However, the client could be the source of the client copy. Yeah, reset the log. Because yesterday I triggered one client copy. So that's why it was telling 008 ID. So reset log. Yeah, I don't want to have it. Okay, now we do it. Because yesterday I triggered a 008, it was giving a warning that there was already one client copy. Okay. Now you see 1509, which is today at 146, I started 000 processing, profile user, local mode local. So this also you need to be double click on it. So here you can see the status, or you can progress the target client again, source client this, copy mode, local copy, SAP user. There is nothing you can do. I mean, once you trigger it, so it's just that you have to monitor. So now, what is the table it is being edited at this moment? This is what it is doing. So total these many lines. So number of tables out of 103, it has copied 31 so far. So what you do now? Keep refreshing. Sorry, this session has gone. Now let it come back again. Yep. So see, 31 of 103 has been copied. So it is still copying this table, AGR underscore custom. Let it copy. So if you want to see the system log, just click on it. So this log, I mean, in case of failures, this is helpful. But in normal, while this is running, until unless it gives an error, you don't need to go there. So details. So, I mean, total number of tables copied 36, number of customizing tables, name of the application tables. So what kind of tables it is doing, it will give you the list. Okay. So again, SAP release, it is in the 750. So when you are doing a remote client copy, your source and target has to be on the same SAP release. That we will do. I mean, I don't think we have a system to do it, but more or less concept is same. Remote client copy, we will just execute one transaction and we'll see. I mean, remote client copy. So this is being copied. So let's see the SM37. Suppose if there is any job. So let's see the SAP star execute. You see, so in SM37, because we scheduled in the background, you clearly see that client copy from triple. This is the notation. Okay. Suppose if you want to check for any job or anything, you always check it like this. So client copy 000 to 900. So SAP user, SAP star is the password. I mean, user which has triggered and which is currently active in the system. Okay. So, or you just click on this. So job details. Let's see what it will come. Yeah, this is job name, job log. So job started. So it has started this program. So I mean, only when it fails, then you have to come here and check. So let's see the SCC3. Yeah, it is still processing. Okay, let it get processed. Okay, status cancelled. Table being edited. Why? Refresh. Still says processing, but let it report it. What could be the reason? But anyway, but you know the process for now. Let it complete. We will go to the remote client copy, and then we will do the what is this one? Where was my PPTs? Yep. Remote client copy, and then we come to the SCC1. Clear, guys? This local client copy. Any questions? So only thing, there are 4 or 5 steps. Number 1, create the new client. When creating the new client, logical system is needed, BD54 entry. Then log into the new client. For that, SAP star. So if it is not enabled, you may have to restart the system. Clear? So any questions before we move to the remote client copy? Are we good? Okay. So now let's talk to the SCC9, which I've explained you the use case. So remote client copy, we mainly use if you want to copy from one client from system A to the system B. But the most important prerequisite is your source and target has to be the same version. So that is what this consistency check you do using the SCC, what we call RFC connection. Let's do this one. Let's go to the system here. So SCC9. This one again, login. Okay. Then we have SCC9. Okay, so it's simple. So the target client again, client copy, schedule as a background, RFC comparison, source destination. So here, so keep this in mind, guys. Always in client copy, whether you are importing a transport or you are copying, the basic thing you have to remember is always go to the client to which you have to get the data. For example, so now I am in EH8, then it's giving me the target client. So which means you always have to log into the target client, whether it is a local copy or remote client copy. So you see here, this is my target because I logged into the 800, fine. So what you have to do here is you have to give an RFC connection, source system RFC connection. Okay. See, these are all RFC connections you can find. I mean, for example, if you want to copy from an ABC system, so you have to define an RFC connection, SM59. You pick the, let's say we take, which one? Some system, anything just for demonstration purpose. Let's take this TM1, TMW. Remote connection cannot be set up because it's not there. So you have to select the, okay, just give me the, so there's no target system here. So you have to give the source from which source system you want to do the client copy to this client, remote client copy. So then again, test run is then another option. So once you give the RFC connection details here, it automatically picks your system name and the source client. Then you just proceed same like local copy, schedule as background. So like that. So RFC system comparison, you can do this. So this comparison basically, I told you, source and target has to be the same version. So this, when you do it, it will give you the list of the components, whether they're matching or not. Okay, that's the remote client copy. So if I have to put it in a very clean way. So then you have this parallel processing. So parallel processing is 4 or 5 tables you can define, or you can define 10 number of processes, but always go with the default processing. I mean, don't do too much of this thing over here. So just for an understanding purpose, what happens is when you do the parallel processing, so each process will pick tables based on their sequence. So not sequence. So first process will pick 1 to 10 tables, and the second process will pick 11 to 20, like that. They keep randomly 10 tables each process will pick. So none of the other process will pick any other table until unless, because that is being handled by the other processes. Okay, that is how the parallel processing is done. So parallel processing, until unless you are doing on weekend and your customer approves a complete downtime, then you go with this increase in this parallel process. Generally, don't go with this thing. Okay, so now SCC8. Okay, SCC8 is the client transport. This is important case. So I like this. I like this way of taking a client export and importing it to the system. That is the most steady, I mean, clean way. So because a local copy, it's fine. I mean, you have to do it. So sometimes local copy also fails due to some errors, but transport, export, import is the most good way, solid way to do it. So you see, once you are confident that your RFC comparison, your source and target, everything is remote copy, so you can do a transport or this SCC9, fine. But this SCC8 is the most beautiful way. Let's see what happens. It is the easiest. That's it. So select profile, target system to which you want to select. Let's see what it will give. Okay, no. This one is this one EH8. Not this one. Let's see the SCC7. This is a different one. I'll come to this again. First, I want to explain the T codes also confusing. 1 second. I will get you the T code, exact T code. I've listed out for you guys. So these profiles we discussed, these are all things we discussed. Yes. So SCC1, copy of the transport request. Yes, SCC1, client copy, or let's go to the SCC1. Now this one is the same landscape if you want to move. This one is the So this is the easiest way. Source client. Which client you want to export? I mean, very easiest, very nice one, this one. So you want to export SCC1. That's why they might have given the one. So then put the transport request, which transport request you want to give. Okay, you create one dummy transport request or this one. So modifiable workbench and transport target, anything, whatever. So just give the check. So EH8K request type. So and then transport target. I mean, where you want to move. Transport target system or same system also you can do, guys. So this is the same system EH8, and if you want to do the within the system also you can do. I mean, EH8 system only. Transport target is also EH8, but a different client you want to create. So source client is 000. Then you just check if there is anything to be filled. Save as variant, that is not needed. So no requests found. Okay, so request type, I think we have to create it. Standard selection, request type, date, this one. And execute. Yeah, so we have to create it. So I just clicked on the create button. So it has created the transport request. Just select it. Then select it. Because it has no or incorrect source client 8. Okay, so that's an information, fine. So, I mean, if you are doing it in the client, you define a clean transport, but I just created some random transport. So where I want to create this. So include tasks in the request, that's it. So use schedule as a background, then it will export, it will create the data file and co-file. So if you want to import to the same system, so same way, you log into the new client, target client, always you log into the 900 client, STMS, transport number, import, that's it, matter settled. So it's the clean and easy way to do this. Okay, so I think many of these things we discussed where we were. So any questions, guys, before I move to the other topic? So these are all theoretical ones, what I have explained, don't worry. I mean, this is no writing, no, these things I've explained already, this cross client explaining, but in a different format, different things. So before we go to the CATs and ECATs, so client copy is clear. So 3 ways. One is the SCCL or SCC9 remote client copy, and then the SCC1 is the export and import in via transport. Any questions? Are we good to proceed when you're working?
Because
So
once SAP's EDAC password got locked, so that is also a big issue in production.
Yes. You will get it. So now, see, we were able to log in, okay, because this user did not get logged. Okay, so CD Pro, even though you change this parameter, right? I mean, login no automatic start to SAP 0, so it will not let you allow. Okay, I mean, it will not let you to log into the system. The reason is it could have been logged in the database. Okay, if that user SAP star is logged in the database, then you have to do one more step. Okay, number one, first you reset the password in the database. You have to log into the database on the same target system, wherever you want to do this copy. Log into the database and then unlock the SAP star first. Okay, using the SQL command. After you unlock the password, you come here. Then you set this parameter, what we call to no login, no automatic user SAP star to 0. Then it will let you log in with SAP star password, SAP star and pass password. So you understand? So 2 steps you have to do. First, you unlock the user from DB. So the commands I will let you know. Okay, I'll prepare it today. So let me check if I have.
Okay.
SAP star. So what commands you have to use? It depends on the database. I mean, it's a SQL command only. So I will give you. In HANA, how you do. In DB2, how you do. I will share you. Okay. In Sybase, how you do. Okay. So it just go to the database, either HANA Studio or SQL prompt of any other database, or from the DB13 itself, you have an option in SAP system running the SQL. or I think in ST03 or ST04 you have an option. Okay, so where you can run the SQL command directly. Let me see, in DB13 we have this. I did this 10 years back. So, but I always do. I told you, right? I always prefer to do things from the SAP OS level. DB directly go to the SQL prompt and do it, but you can do it from DB13. Let's see if we have an SQL prompt over here. So just select. It's a simple command. I mean, you can Google also. Select star from DB where mandate is equal to so and so system unlock or a reset. That command is there. Okay, DB13 is taking time. Okay, so you just reset it first on the database. I mean, unlock it from the database, and then you change the parameter, restart the system. DB restart is not needed. You got it right. You just have to unlock in the DB database. That's it. So you don't need to. In case if the password is, in case if the SAP star is locked. In this case, suppose if you hit 3 to 4 times, this SAP star will get locked. Then you have to unlock it from the database. Okay. So that is the thing. So just execute one command on the DB. I will ping you. I will let you know, guys, tomorrow for all 3 databases.
Yeah, I will search for my end as well.
Yep. You can search it. You put in Google how to reset SAP star. You find 2 steps. Number 1, unlock it on the database. Number 2, set this parameter on the system and restart it. That's it. It should work. Okay. Good.
Okay.
Perfect. So now we will proceed with the CAT and ECAT processes allowed. Okay. So select this option. So what we are okay. Before I will let me show you this one. Yeah, SQL command line here, Naveen. I don't know who has this. Naveen, it's you. He asked the question.
Yeah, got it.
So you just click on this SQL command line. So this one, it will. You don't need to go to the database also. You can execute the SQL from here. So resetting SQL. You can find it in Google, or I'll share it tomorrow. Don't worry. So
okay, no problem.
Because the syntaxes I don't remember. Good. So then we go to the SCC4 again. SCC4, while it opens this for this system. Yeah. So what we are talking now is CATs and ECATs. So the first 2 we discussed, and we are going to talk about this CAT and ECAT restrictions. What does it mean? Okay. So select this option for a client such as the quality assurance test. In test systems, you select it where you wish to run the computer-aided test tool CAT or enhanced computer ECAT. To CAT means computer-aided test tool, the full form. ECAT means enhanced computer-aided test tool to perform scripted validity tests of application functionality. Since CAT scripts generate application data, they should not be run in every client. Currently locked due to client copy. So fine. So the thing is, have you guys ever tried this ECAT script? No? I'll tell you one example. For example, you can enable the recording, okay, CAT recording. So, I mean, generally we don't turn it on. So here, Naveen, you just put the select star from this command and you can execute it here. You don't need to go log into the DB.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
So good. So what happens is, for example, I am creating one user, SU01, my user trainer, so and so. So you have an option to record that. Okay, ECAT recording. So system, do we see? Since I think not allowed, here we don't see. So once we allow, I'll give you a use case. So it will record the changes. Okay, whatever you are doing on the screen. For example, SU01, like this. So you are doing, okay, and then you are creating the user, exact user, password, everything it will track. So what happens is it will create a CAT file, computer-aided test file kind of thing. Okay, so you want to do the exact same steps on the other systems. I mean, in any other client or any other system, what you have to do is you just have to drag and drop to that system. So you open that system here, one more session. I mean, the other system. This file, you keep it on your desktop. You just drag and drop it it will ask you to log in and log into the system, log in, and then it will create by itself the user and everything. It's an automation. So currently it has been renamed as robotic process automation, SAP's robotic process automations. Okay. So it is just that a marketing gimmicks. People use the same technologies which was existing so long, and they just rename it because they want to show that they're inventing, right? Because these Microsoft and these SAPs, they all have to say that we are inventing. That's why they change this Windows 10, Windows 11. They change a little bit, they enhance it, but look and feel, performance, little bit improvement, that things. But overall, the concepts are same. So that is called the ECAT scripts. Okay. So, and moreover, so you remember when I was doing a client copy, it has told me that your system has been what we call already there was a client copy running, and that is the error. Currently logged due to client copy. That error came. So that error came because I have set it ECATs and CATs are not allowed. Okay. So this setting by default, you always set it to the not allowed. Okay. So always set it to the not allowed. So, I mean, in case if you are using such kind of scripts, just allow it and use it for certain time and then close it again. But in general, it is not recommended to use it. Good. So production is SAP upgrade. Yeah, there is one more button here. Where is the system? EH8. Sorry. EH8. Let me log into this. I don't know if you guys have paid attention to it or not. SC4. No, not yes, SC4. Let's open this one. Locked due to client copy restrictions, that's fine. Protection against SAP upgrade. At the bottom, can you see, guys? Okay. Which means if you tick it out, so whenever you try to attempt a upgrade or a patching in this system, it will throw an error or it will not allow. So in general, in test systems, I mean, if you don't want to do test or production systems, so you want to have a clear restriction on that also. I mean, you don't by mistake also somebody trigger production. As I told you, by mistake, you have logged into the production client and then you started doing patching. And then it's very big mistake. So to avoid that, in the production client, they will select it as a protection against SAP upgrade so that no one, by mistake also, if you try to do, it will say that, hey, the upgrades or the patching has been restricted on this client. Okay, it will not let you to do it anything. Okay, so any questions, guys? Hope the client copy are these things. Yes, settings changes to the namespaces. No changes possible. Namespaces. Okay. Now, client opening means one more task you guys do. You remember anything? One thing is this SCC4, and one more thing is SC06. Yesterday also I've explained this one. System change option. So client opening, it's a generic term, people use it. There are two things which you have to do. So this client is in modifiable state. So X means, so here two tables. Okay, pay attention, guys. Two tables here. Software components and then namespace or name range. I've told you namespace is nothing but a customer, each customer has a namespace and all of their developers has to develop under that particular namespace. Okay. In general, in production, so yeah, so everything is now not allowed in this particular EH8 system. Let me close. System change or does not apply to parallel sessions. That's all right. Let's do this. So now in production, you always see it's in non-modifiable, which means your software components, you don't want anybody to modify it. Namespaces, I mean, development also, you don't want anybody to do developments. In production, it is always non-modifiable. But at some situations, while you are troubleshooting or you want to make some customization, where you want to make them modifiable. So there also you have to ask them whether you want to do software component as modifiable or namespace as modifiable. Or some people, so as I always say, or you have to ask them, instead of just come blindly and then you do X modifiable, then everything will become modifiable. Instead of that, if some developer or some requirement came, you always ask them which component you want to modify. Okay, AAF or AAFX or AAFN, which one? So then you go to that particular component and then make it as modifiable or not modifiable. You getting my point?
Our comprehensive student metrics ensure top-notch learning experiences. We track engagement through attendance, participation, and video interactions. Performance is measured via quiz scores and assignment submissions. We monitor learning behaviors, including time spent and revisit patterns. Our metrics cover social learning, course completion rates, and even post-course success. With technical data on platform usage and device information, we optimize every aspect of your learning journey.
So you make it only modifiable for that particular component. So that way you're relying only for that particular component or this thing. But in general, when somebody says open the client, we come here and we will just open it. So because those guys also not aware which component they are doing it. Many of them they say, hey guys, please just open the client. Okay. So client opening means two things. SCC4 changes, SCC4 no changes allowed and all. Okay, let me give you client opening clean example. So let me put you complete not modifiable. Okay, so when somebody asks you to do a client opening, okay, it's not modifiable. So SCC4. So if somebody asks you to open the 900 client, so what you have to do is change. So it says cross client, that's all right. Open the 900, which we are just doing. So no changes allowed. It's closing the client. So no changes. Production level 2. Fine, not allowed. Production again is the fine. So this is the, in general, you find this status in your customer systems or the production system. This is your status you feel. So if somebody asks you to open the client, so if they give you the requirements, that's well and good. If they don't give you, changes without require, or you have to ask them, what options do you want me to select? You want the recording or not? So any of these options, they will give you changes without automation. In general, we take the first one, and then you allow the changes, and then you allow the production level, no zero restriction. So, and then these things you don't have to touch, save. So you open the client now. So they should be able to do the things. Now, so after that, SE06, you ask them, hey, opening the client is sufficient, or you also want me to change the modifiability or non-modifiable namespaces and customer objects. Let's do that. SE06. So perform post installation. Once you do the system build, you will do it. I mean, after system refresh. So system change option. Then you come here and make it modifiable, or make it only few modifiable or not modifiable. Earlier it has changed. Something global setting. Or let's go back and come back. Okay, but in general, you do that way. SE06. System change option. So here you can select software components modifiable. So it will change everything. So here you can say edit software namespaces modifiable. Namespaces modifiable. Namespaces means bottom ones. So then you save. It's given a error. It's okay. Now go to SE06 and check it out. System change option. Again, edit. Edit. Save. Database error SQL BHL because the default segment is full, no free extents. So it's ran out of space. Okay, that's okay. I mean, it has an in general database connection problem. It has. Okay, but in general, that's how you do that way. Okay. So any questions before we move to the help.sap.com? That is another OSS, SAP OSS connections. Let me open it, the PPT. So it's very self-explanatory, guys. So there's, anyway, we did the client is the most important thing. So please, client opening and client closing you learn, and SCC4 you have a local client copy you have learned, and present from the beginning. Okay. So now we talk about the SAP OSS. So SAP has changed the concept of SAP OSS. So service marketplace overview and supported online help types. So what I will do is I will give brief overview of what it is happening or why we need the SAP OSS. And then I will give you the link. Okay, please explore that link, help.sap.com. You will get complete picture of, all the videos, all the relevant documentation. So if your customer has an access to the service marketplace, it is well and good. You can download installation guides. You can do, where you can check, I will show you. Where you can check, I can tell you. So when you will reach to the SAP. So if SAP OSS is renamed to the service marketplace, it's a old name, but still I use the PPT to term it as OSS because most of the times people from, various people refer to this as OSS only. Please raise an OSS message or product support ticket, the another word, or service marketplace, please raise a ticket. Okay. So number one, if your system wants to connect to the service marketplace, okay, sorry, this one, EH8, where did it go? This one, let's open this one first of all. help.sap.com. Okay. So our service, this is the documentation by product. So SAP service.sap.com, service dot. Good. This is the most important page, service.sap.com, guys. Okay. So instead of me going through the PPT, or we'll see if we have a slide where I have cleanly explained, because this is all the theory unnecessary helpless. Anyway, I come to this thing. Okay. For what all things, okay, you go to the service marketplace. Okay. Number one, your system will connect to the SAP service marketplace either via an SAP OSS RFC connection, where you give the SAP will provide you the router details and stuff. Okay. That is the online support system. Okay. So if there is some problem with your system, they will access the system pull some data from that OSS connection, or while doing the node implementation, you just download the nodes from that OSS connection. Or if SAP wants to log into your system, okay, it's not that they just come and give you access to you, because your company or customer will restrict the authorization. So that is when you have to open the connection. What does it mean? In the service marketplace, you log in, your customer has the customer number and the systems what you are using. There you have to give the SAP user ID and password with which they can log in. And there will be a remote desktop, like we have the WTS, which I am working. So they will log into that, and from there they will access the system and they will support you on the issue. Okay, that is what the SAP online support system, OSS means online support system. Okay, so the transaction code availing OS can use RFC connectivity, that is fine. Remote consulting, this is what I am telling you. Remote consulting, they want to log into your system, so you will provide the user ID and password. So the OSS is replaced by the SAP Service Marketplace now. Okay, now service.sap.com, simple word. Remember this, service.sap.com is the page where you have to get this one. So SAP Service Marketplace. So what all things you can get it? So training information. So SAP softwares you can download. Suppose you want to do a patching. The latest installation documents and the installation files. The patches of software files you can download from there. And then you can somehow see the problem messages. I mean, if there were any existing or recurring issues, what SAP documented, you can see from the service marketplace. But the most important thing here is these things. Okay. So when you go to the help.sap.com, okay. So what all you can see, this one. Good. Visit the support portal page. So SAP service marketplace has been retired. Okay, these also gone. So visit the support portal, they are saying. Let's see. We'll go there. What it happens. Yeah. So this is the latest page what SAP is supporting through. So here also you need to understand certain things. Support.sap.com. It's a service.sap.com. They have removed again to support.sap.com. I don't know why they are changing this URL so frequently, but it doesn't matter. Wherever you go, they will give you a URL. What is the new one? So if you want to search for some note, okay, you can search over here. But as a basis, guys, what is important is software downloads. It's a self-explanatory, guys. Software downloads. Okay. So if you click on this, I don't have access, so it won't take me. If you click on this, it will, you go there, it is like any download. You give the software component what you want to download, and you can download it over there. And then request keys. So what are the keys we may have to request from the service marketplace or this support? Okay. So for example, license. Okay. So request keys, this is important, guys. So S license. Let me go to the system. So do an S license. So after you build the system, you need to have the license, right? So here you see this is the license and this is the hardware key, D00, and this is the installation number. So take the hardware key from here, okay? And then you go here, request license keys. Okay. So it is asking me to user ID and password. Let's not do that. So that's the customer's user ID. After you go, you give the hardware key and download the license key for that. So how to do and all, you will find the videos, at the bottom. All the information getting started with support. So welcome to support, or what all things, how can I get, I have to. So there is no special thing, or it's simply waste of time if I give you a session on this, each and everything. So everything is available over here. So all the documentation. So as and when you want to do something, so you go here and you look for how to do, more resources, usability program, support leadership, or how can I get my most from the SAP, or product support accreditation. I've received my, what do I know? What you have to do once you have the service market. So all these things will be available in this particular page, how to do. But for you, the important thing is getting the license. For what purposes you can go here? Getting the licenses. You have installed a new system, take the hardware key from S license, go here, get your license for HANA and the SAP. Okay, report an incident. So if you want to open the incident to the customer, then you do a report an incident for them. I mean, OSS message, like product support. If you're not able to solve it, you do it. So then manage users. What users you want to manage and who all can access your service marketplace. So, the S users basically. Okay. So in your organization, not all will get access. Only few will have this access to this, because you don't do day in and day out, right? Once you build and put the license, then you don't have to get the license. But opening an incident, so you will get an access with an S user. You log in with your S user for your company, and then you raise the incident. So software downloads, I've explained you. View cloud availability and manage remote connections. This is what somebody was asking the first sprint. OSS connection opening. So now they are calling it as a remote connection, correct word, instead of that OSS and all this thing. So this is the correct word. Remote connection. You have to give it's a very self-explanatory, and how to do, you can explain, or you can search for the note. Okay. How to request. Let's see how to request license key. Let's see if we find some details. License key. Let's see if you find some notes on it. Again, it asked me for login. So let's not log in. So once you have the S user, then only you will be able to do anything over in this one case. Or you have to create your own, but it's of useless. So everything, whatever the functionality it has to work, you need to have your customer or organization's S user ID. Okay. So any questions, guys? Is it clear? So this will have all the tools. Wait, the documentations I will show you. So connectivity tools, remote support, SAP router, service connector, and then screen sharing options also you have. It is anything easy. You just follow those things. So software logistics, because it's system maintenance, and then life cycle management automation. Suppose what is your system status and which versions are possible, those things. But not many customers enable it, but you can enable it, this thing. Troubleshooting tools, support log assistance, and landscape analysis utility. So lots and lots of information here. So if you want to do an upgrade phase, plan what to do, build what to do, run what to do. I mean, plan phase, what you have to do. Let's see. Yeah, everything else for my user ID and password. So let's not do that. Cannot log in. So then tools, maintenance. So see, lots of information, but you need to have a S user from your organization or from the project. Okay. So you will be able to, but only for 3 or 4 reasons you log into the ALM. So some videos are there. So then my support, help, documentation, what we have, find a product. Or if you want the documentations, help.sap.com is the best site. Help. Let me see if I can get you. So if you want to learn about search by product, SAP documentation by product, learning journey is also there. If you want to do HANA, let's search it. So SAP HANA platform, you go with the HANA platform. Okay. So sometimes you will find the open source documentation. Sometimes, see, HANA 2.y SP5 is the latest. So in this also you should know where you browse and what you browse. So if you go with this entire thing, you will go crazy. Okay. What is it you need in this one? So come here to the right hand side. You need only the administration. So see if we find somewhere a HANA administration. So real-time SAP Web, SAP HANA Cloud, SAP Client. No. So what's new? No. You have to go with the administration document only. So installation and then upgrade. So master guide, we don't need it. And then SAP HANA server installation and update guide. Yes, this you may need. You got it, guys? Can you find? This is how you find the documentation. help.sap.com. Search for the word what you want. So if you want to install, you get this document. If you want to installation and update guide, studio. If you want to install a studio, you will get it. So see, not knowing is not a problem. Okay, but you should know where to search. Google is not always helpful. I'm telling you. Google is the people may give you the documentation on old ERP and others, but in Google you don't get it. But help.sap.com is the best place for you to get the information. So quick sizer, I told you, right? How do you sizing? So how do you size it? So this note, let's see if it goes to me. You are now leaving SAP. Disagree. I don't want it now. Let me explain you this. So you see, for HANA related, everything is available here. Quick sizer. So what size you have? What is the RAM CPU size? Quick sizer for the beginner side. So try this one. Explore this site tomorrow from your laptop. See if you have a user. If it goes, that is fine. Let's see if it go. If we can go. It's going. It's free. Open source case. Excellent. Then it is open source. This whole thing. See. So now it's all depends on you. It's a studio only. But now, if you want to see the server and installation guide, go ahead. Read it. Anything. It's just that, I mean, I don't want you to do it now and then you learn everything now, but you should know where to look for correct information. See, if you are installing a server installation and update guide, why do you want to Google it? I mean, those people just for marketing purposes or, ads, for ads purposes, they copy the same content and keep it over there. If SAP has updated some of its content or the best practices, you will not be able to see that content, right? You will not be able to see that guy might or might not have updated. And first of all, he might not be a technical guy at all. While copying paste, he could have missed it. So don't do Google just blindly. So always you go with and you make it as a habit. Read installation and server guide and overview of the SAP HANA tenant database, server architecture of the tenant databases. You see, so you search like this. See, you have an architecture clean, and SAP will ensure that they keep up-to-date information in these portals. Okay, this is how you check for the documentation in help.sap.com and then support.sap.com, where you go for license keys or hardware keys, software downloads, or if you want to open the connection to it. Okay, and each of these sites will have a self-explanatory documentations. So, I mean, we don't have to spend too much of time on those things because it's of useless. I mean, until unless you start using, whenever you need it, you go there and you explore it. That's it. Within 5 to 10 minutes, you'll be able to figure out how to do it because they are all user-friendly. Okay. See, I've shown you how to get the HANA documentation. So installing a HANA system, they will give you clear steps. So getting started with the HANA installation, single host installation or multi-host installation, it's all open source information. So you don't have to pay or you need a user. See, it will give you clean and clear documents. And these will be get updated. So you see, you are here, we are seeing a HANA 2.0 SP05. See, this is the latest version which has been released to the market. So if you Google it and if you search for somewhere, it will give you all unnecessary things which you don't want. So if you want to see the ERP, you also can find the ERP. Let's see if you can find something. So if you have some different, Solman or something, you go with the Discover. So then you have ERP. So this is the problem. So people are thinking that SAP is charging too much, and earlier it was not the case. Earlier SAP documentation was not so great, but these days SAP is providing an excellent documentation. You please keep searching help.sap.com with your relevant questions or relevant these things. So you'll be able to find the information, whatever you need for this thing.